You are not who you think you are. You are not only your smile, your strength, or your carefully crafted image. You are also your brokenness, your anger, your envy, your fear, and until you learn to face that which you have buried, your shadow, you will never be whole. The shadow you fear is not your enemy. It is your teacher, and when you finally confront it, not with violence, but with curiosity, you begin the journey toward your true purpose. We are taught from an early age to hide the parts of ourselves that do not fit image the world expects from us. We silence our anger, deny our jealousy, bury our fears, and suppress our sorrow. We disown anything that seems unacceptable, unlovable, or too much. But what happens to these parts of us? Do they disappear simply because we refuse to acknowledge them? No. They retreat into the unconscious. They become what Jung called the shadow. The parts of ourselves we refuse to see, yet which continue to influence us. The shadow does not vanish just because we ignore it. It waits, it grows, it lingers behind the mask we show the world, and it reveals itself in our projections, our triggers, our compulsive behavior, and our emotional wounds. You see, the shadow is not something outside of you, it is you. Only unloved, unaccepted, and unseen. It is not evil in and of itself. It is simply the side of you that you have been taught to deny. Yet paradoxically, it is also where your greatest potential lies. Inside the shadow is your repressed strength, your hidden talents, your unexpressed truth. The parts of you that once cried out for expression were silenced not because they were weak, but because they were powerful and misunderstood. And in rejecting them, you rejected a part of your wholeness. To fear the shadow is to fear the truth of your own being. But when you stop running, when you dare to look into that dark mirror and ask, who are you? You begin the most sacred work a person can dog, the integration of the self. Do not be ashamed of the shadow. Do not curse it. Instead, listen to it. Sit with it. Learn from it. Because the shadow you fear is not here to destroy you. It is here to reveal you. Wholeness does not come by polishing your persona until it shines. Holiness comes by embracing your complexity, by accepting that you are both light and darkness, both noble and flawed, both human and divine. And only by acknowledging the part of you that you've abandoned, can you finally begin to heal and live with authentic purpose. You are not broken for having a shadow. You are only incomplete until you claim it. There is a peculiar law of the psyche: whatever you push away with force does not disappear. It hides and waits. Whatever you refuse to look at doesn't lose its power. It gathers more. This is the paradox of resistance. What we resist persists. And more than that, it grows stronger in the shadows. You may believe that by suppressing your anger, ignoring your envy, or pretending your wounds do not exist, you are maintaining peace. But this is not peace. This is inner exile. The emotions you cast out will return, often disguised, and usually at the worst possible moments. They will erupt in the middle of a conversation, sabotage your relationships, distort your perceptions, and cause suffering not only to yourself but to others around you. The unconscious is not passive. It is alive and intelligent. It seeks wholeness, and if you refuse to meet a part of yourself consciously, it will find another way to reach you. Through dreams, projections, illnesses, conflicts, or relentless inner unrest. You may try to drown your pain in distraction. You may try to silence your anxiety with business. You may even spiritualize your denial and call it positive thinking. But the shadow is patient. It does not go away because you cover it with affirmations. It watches, it waits, and it whispers to you through your deepest fears and your repeated patterns. I am still here. The longer you resist an inner truth, the more suffering it brings. The more you deny your inner voice, the louder it becomes. Until it screams through the chaos in your life, not to punish you but to awaken you. This is not cruelty, this is wisdom. The psyche does not want perfection. It wants integration. It wants you to turn around and face what you've been running from. Because healing begins not when you defeat your shadow, but when you meet it with compassion and say, I see you. I will no longer exile you. Real power is not control over the parts of you that feel dark or broken. Real power is integration. To look into your own depths and no longer be afraid of what you find there. Because the moment you stop resisting your own truth, you begin to live in alignment with your real self. Let your resistance be a signal, not a wall. What you resist is not the enemy. It is the invitation. The invitation to evolve, to expand, and to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. There is a sacred truth hidden within every soul who has suffered. Your wound is not your end. It is your beginning. It is not the proof of your weakness, but the birthplace of your awakening. The pain you carry, the trauma you survived, the grief that still echoes in your chest. These are not detours from your path. They are the very path itself. We often think of healing as fixing what is broken. But what if you are not broken? What if your wound is not a flaw to be erased, but a doorway to something deeper, in the very place where life split you open? That is where the light of consciousness, of understanding, of true transformation can enter. Suffering has a strange wisdom. It strips away the illusions we cling to. It reveals what is real, what matters, what endures. It brings to the surface the parts of you've ignored. Your unprocessed grief, your hidden desires, your forgotten voice. And when you finally turn inward and sit with that pain, not to numb it, not to escape it, but to listen, you begin to hear something sacred rising from beneath the suffering. The light does not enter through pride or perfection. It does not come through denial or avoidance. It comes through the wound, through the moment you admit, I am hurting, and I no longer want to run. In that moment of surrender, a deeper strength is born, not the strength to dominate, but the strength to feel, to endure, to transform. There is a hidden gift in every wound, but it is not given freely. You must go to the depths to retrieve it. You must be willing to revisit the places within yourself that are tender, raw, and real. That is where your purpose is buried. Not in your achievements, but in your ability to alchemize your suffering into wisdom, your pain into compassion, your darkness into light. The most powerful people are not those who have never been hurt. They are those who have faced their deepest pain and refused to let it harden them. Instead, they let it teach them. They let it expand them. And in doing so, they become something more. Not perfect, but whole. So do not curse your wound. It may feel like the thing that broke you. But in time, if you are brave enough to stay with it, you will discover it was never here to destroy you. It was here to uncover you. We live in a world obsessed with perfection. Everywhere we turn, we're told to optimize, to improve, to strive for flawlessness, in body and mind, in achievements and image. But this pursuit is not the path to peace. It is the path to exhaustion, disconnection, and self-alienation, because the soul does not yearn to be perfect. The soul yearns to be whole. Perfection is a mask, a brittle, fragile illusion that demands we hide our words, deny our flaws, and suppress our humanity. It forces us to fracture ourselves, showing only what is acceptable, and burying what feels unworthy. But the parts you reject do not disappear. They become the shadow, and they wait for the day you are willing to remember them, to reclaim them. Wholeness means saying yes to every part of yourself, not just the light, but also the dark. It means embracing your contradictions, your strength and your weakness, your confidence and your insecurity, your joy and your sorrow. You are not meant to be either or. You are meant to be both all and it is only when you hold all of it in awareness that you begin to embody your true self. You cannot become whole by amputating parts of your personality. You cannot find peace by silencing inner voice. Healing is not about becoming someone else. It's about finally allowing yourself to be who you are beneath the masks you were taught to wear. To strive for perfection is to climb a mountain that has no summit. You will always find something missing, something wrong, something more to fix. But to strive for holiness is to come home, to return to yourself with radical acceptance and compassion. Carl Jung said, "I'd rather be whole than good." Be good is often defined by external standards, by what pleases others, by what conforms. Wholeness, on the other hand, is inner alignment. It is authenticity, it is truth. And when you begin to live from this place, not to impress the world, but to express your soul, you discover something liberating. You do not need to be perfect to be worthy. You do not need to have it all together to live with purpose. You simply need to be present, to be aware, to be real. Stop chasing perfection. It was never your purpose. Your purpose is to integrate, to include what you've excluded, to embrace what you've feared, and to love what you've been taught to reject. Because that, not perfection, is the path to freedom. What if the very thing you've spent your life running from is the one thing you're meant to confront? What if your purpose has been hiding, all along, in the place you've feared to look? This is the strange and powerful truth of the human soul. The shadow you reject is not simply a burden. It is your calling in disguise. We often search for purpose in the light. We ask what we're good at, what the world will praise, what brings us success or status. But true purpose does not emerge from comfort. It does not come from what flatters the ego. It comes from what challenges it. From the very material we once considered unbearable. Look closely at your shadow. The parts of you that feel unacceptable, shameful, or weak. Ask yourself, why are they here? Why are you angry? Why are you afraid? Why do you envy, isolate, sabotage, or hide? These are not meaningless traits. They are not random flaws. They are messages from the unconscious, signals from your soul, pointing to a truth you have not yet claimed. The shadow is not just where your wounds live. It's where your undeveloped gifts are buried. Your deepest pain may point to the exact thing you're meant to heal in others. Your recurring fear may reveal the threshold you're here to cross. Your shame might contain the very story the world needs to hear, told not from perfection, but from your scars, your struggle, and your survival. Every hero's journey begins with a descent. Into darkness, into uncertainty, into the unknown. Not to stay there, but to retrieve something essential. The treasure is never found on the surface. It is found in the cave, the underworld, the place you swore you'd never go again. That is the domain of the shadow. And it is also the birthplace of vision, resilience, and power. Carl Jung knew this well, that to step into your destiny, you must first make peace with your darkness. Not by letting it rule you, but by letting it speak. When you listen to your shadow, you begin to unlock a hidden map. A map that leads you back to your most authentic path. Purpose is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you already are. Especially the parts you've been taught to fear. And once you stop rejecting them, those shadow fragments begin to align. They no longer pull you down. They begin to fuel you forward. With depth, with meaning, with truth. So do not curse your shadow. It is not here to destroy your life. It is here to redirect it. To awaken you, to guide you. To remind you of what you're really here to do. Because your shadow was never the problem. It was the compass. And your calling has been whispering through it all along. So I ask you now, what is it you're most afraid to face? Is it your anger, your pain, your past? Whatever it is that is your path, do not turn away. Walk into the shadow. And there, you will find your light.